Hey, it's Kevin from JJ Hat Center, New York's oldest and best hat shop. We opened in 1911, and we're still going strong. We're on Fifth Avenue, right under the Empire State Building in Manhattan. For those of you who don't know about it, it's a big old shop, very woodsy and old. We're in the original IBM showroom, which IBM arrived at that building in 1925, I think, 22. We were around the corner at that point on 33rd Street and Broadway. But anyway, it's very old looking and woodsy, and we have the old pedal steamer and we steam the hats. But it looks very old timey, but it's huge. It's like, it's just so huge. You walk in, it's just like, picture this whole wall, like up to here, just rows of hats, kind of like a library, and then it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. You just keep walking, and then the other side of the shop is the other, So you walk in, it's just like, on both sides, like a library of hats, and it's not a small one little aisle, it's big. And we've got a back room that has sale hats and a custom shop where we do repairs. We make bands for you, cut brims, reshape crowns. We also re-steam hats. You come in as a walk-in, we'll steam you for free as many times as you want, as many hats as you want for life, which is basically like going to Times Square and getting a good shoe shine from one of the world's best shoe shiners for free for life. I mean, you could tip the guy if you want. I've had people give me chocolates, all kinds of things. There used to be a guy who gave me sweat socks. They were packed, brand new. I guess he had a case of them somewhere. He'd give me this plastic bag, with these sweat socks, like a 3-pack. I'm kind of like, okay, that was cool, It was better than getting stiffed or getting like a $5 bill, We just sort of liked it, Oh man, that was a long time ago. But anyway, yeah, some people tip us. When you walk into the shop and a guy has a hat on his head, there's always one or two kids who walk straight to you. Can I help you, sir? Because they're looking for a tip, And boss doesn't like that, especially at Christmas time when we're trying to make sales, and then people are worried about tips, So it's one of those things where you don't have to tip them, a lot of people don't, but there's always the chance to get something. So people are like, "Oh, can I help you?" As soon as they see someone walking with a hat. That's never been me. I've always been very, very low key. I look at the guy and I make sure he wants to be helped. I'll generally approach somebody just to say hi. Or if you guys need any help, just let me know. Or take a look. If anything strikes your eye, give me a shout. I'll say that. That's one of my things. Because there are a lot of people who don't want help. They walk in and as soon as you jump on them, they're like, I'm too nervous. I just want to look at this stuff. I'm not ready to buy it. So a lot of people want to take it all in. They want to look at this stuff and see what the deal is. They don't want the sales help right on top of them. Maybe they're not even sure they're going to buy it. They want to check it out. That's like me when I walk in the shop. I'm fine. I'm just looking. Like when I walk into a sneaker shop, like Foot Locker. You ever walk in there? Those places, the guys with the black and white stripes. Usually kids, and they're very eager to make that commission, and they're real cool, but they're like, "Can I help you, sir? Is there anything I can help you with?" And you just like once, you didn't even walk in yet, and they're just like, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" And "Can I help you?" And everybody's around you, like, a bunch of kids, and you're just like, "Yo, dude, I haven't bought sneakers in like 3 years. I want to see what's going around, I want to see what's up, So I tell them, "No, I'm just looking." And they just keep looking. As soon as you touch one, you just touch the sneaker, and they're like, "Oh, that one has a dual density EVA midsole support system." Thanks. And it's just touching it, thanks, "Oh, those are dope." Thanks. So a lot of people just want to be left alone. They just want to check stuff out, There are other people who want to open our glass case and touch hats. It's rough because they're all balancing on these brass bars, and then if you pull a stack out, all these bars fall, and it's this huge domino effect. Everything falls. So as soon as somebody opens the glass case, we're on top of them because we don't want an avalanche. it's kind of like that. But yeah, when you come to JJ's and see Kevin, I'm low key. I let you do what you want. But the deal is this: I like to show you where stuff is. So when you walk in, I'll say, you got Western hats in the front. All those are over there. That's our main Stetson wall. Those are American-made hats, dress hats and stuff. Those are our custom hats from Spain. They're just like slightly more expensive. There's a little bit more colors, a little softer. Over here, these are your pork pies, your short brims, your crushable hats, a little cheaper, rollable stuff, and straw hats in the back. Caps you got in the case, small, medium, large, extra. And that helps. People are like, oh, and then you see them move, bam, to the medium case or something, you know? That's it. But I'm not on top of them like, you know, this green hat I'm wearing is so, you know, no. It's low key. At least that's my thing. Not everybody has the same vibe at JJ's, but we are like that. We understand that a lot of people want to be left alone. And hats are like that. You know, sometimes you get a shy person. A lot of ladies at the ladies rack, they just want to try stuff on, and they don't want you to see them do it. You know, maybe they're going to take their own cap off and they have messy hair. You know, it's a bad hair day from them, and they're embarrassed. They don't want you to see. You know, a lot of people are just embarrassed, and they get some kid in there who's just never tried a hat on. He's like real like one of those, you know, squirrels, kind of make a loud noise, he's going to run away. So he's kind of skittish. You walk in, you got to leave him alone. Let him try some stuff on from the rack where you're allowed to try stuff on. You okay, it's a ladies rack. Let him try it on. It doesn't matter. Leave him alone, you know? That's the way I am. A lot of people are shy. Of course, it's a fashion thing. It's a weird thing, you know. Not everybody wears hats, and everybody's going to look good in every hat. You got to try some stuff on that might look bad. You might have hat head, whatever. So, yeah, I understand. Which is why I think the mail order thing is so great. There are a lot of people who, you know, like I know people who don't like using the phone, so they like to email, text, stuff like that. They just don't like that confrontation. There are people where they use English as a second language, and they have a little accent, and they don't like the fact that they can't be understood by other people. Sometimes, like, if you have a Japanese accent and some Mexican guy picks up and he's got his Mexican accent, the two of you are like, what, excuse me, what, and you don't, it's embarrassing, and you don't like it, it's humiliating, and it's like frustrating. So you wind up typing and texting and emailing and stuff a lot more. I get that too. It's similar. It's a privacy issue, you know. A lot of people my age too, I think, you know, I'm 54. A lot of people who don't know, I sort of present myself, I guess, as a younger person. It's just the way I am. And I think a lot of people in my high school that I still are friends with that are my age, they look, you know, they're bald, a huge bald spot, you know, little glasses, and they dress, you know, more manly, you know, with like collared shirts and blazers, whatever. And they look their age more. They look like a 54-year-old individual, where I sort of present myself more like a kid or something, you know. I'm not the most fashionable guy to be in the fashion industry, you know. I get that. But that's another thing. In the shop, there's all different people, there's all different customers. People gravitate towards me. They see, here's a guy who looks like just a plain guy, but he seems to know what he's talking about. Or, you know, here's a rocker guy, you know, okay, I'm going to ask what he thinks. He might know what I mean when I say I want a Bob Dylan hat. That guy might know what I, you know what I'm saying? Then there's guys in the shop that wear a suit and they have a long beard and they look completely different. And the people go to him because they feel he's going to be a little bit more gentlemanly and know more about like a gentleman's suit or something, you know. It might be judging the book by its cover, but I mean, let's face it, everybody judges some books by its cover. That's the way the brain works, you know. We see things and we add them up. Here's a guy with dirty shoes, lots of mud on it, he must be poor, you know. Oh, maybe he's rich, he just came from a construction site that he owns, you know, you never know. But we all use little clues that we see and we make judgments and assumptions. It's just, that's, I mean, we have to correct some of those things when they are, you know, stereotypes and stuff like that. But it's the way the mind works, so let's not deny that. Being old, my age, it's weird for those of you who are younger and wondering what it's like, to be older, to be 54. It's weird. You don't really have a sense of time. It always just seems like, okay, I woke up, it's today. I don't feel like I've gone through 54 years of life. And when you look at old guys, you figure out they're all experienced and they have all these memories. Yeah, I have some memories, but it doesn't feel that different from being 30. It does. It does kind of suck. Your body starts kind of breaking down, like one thing at a time. When you're my age, you start, like all of a sudden you can't see anymore unless you have your reading glasses on. So you always have to be like within, a foot of you for you to like actually be able to read a menu or something. That sucks. And there's all these weird things. You get these like aches and pains in different parts of your body. It's like, well, that's a new one, Oh, here's another new one. Oh, yeah, I've heard about that thing. I've got that now. Oh, nice. A varicose vein? What the, And you just like, you still feel young, kind of. You feel like the same guy. When you're 18, when you're 25, when you're 33, you're like, ooh, this is a big birthday, 33. I'm getting old now. But you still sort of feel like the same guy, I'm still that young guy that came out of high school, but I guess I'm a lot more experienced now. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've, bounced back from the mistakes. Some of the mistakes I'm still paying for later in life. Others, other decisions were fantastic that I've made, like the woman that I married was probably the best decision I ever made in my life, and having a child, that too. Those are probably the two best decisions I ever made. But I don't look back in regret. I look back more like, I just wish I had, another 54 years, That's the way you feel. It's all good. It's kind of like all good. The young, the medium, the older, and it doesn't feel all that different. It feels like, okay, you're in a different room now. Like life is in a different series of rooms, and and here I am in this 54-year-old room now making videos for you, but it's a damn good thing. It's a beautiful thing, and I have some hope. I think this is going to be a very good year for everybody, and apologies for not making so many hat videos lately. I've been making one major project for my son every day. He makes comedy videos on his own YouTube channel, my 8-year-old son, and his channel is called Luigi Tunnel Play Channel. Luigi Tunnel, one word, play channel. So you could find my weird little mafia movies, using like dolls and toys and stuff, and voiceovers, and we do fun little skits, and that's how we play. He's a budding filmmaker at 8 years old in 2nd grade. He just wants to finish his homework so he can make a video with Dad. And he also wants to be a YouTuber like Daddy, which is kind of cool, He's extraordinary. He's an amazing kid. For 8 years old, it's the amount of potential. You just watch him working iMovie or working on his computer, and just to imagine what he's going to be like at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, the brain power, it's staggering, and it makes you proud. Anyway, that was good. I'm a tangentaholic, if you guys don't know about that. Tangentaholism is kind of a thing that, you're going straight with your conversation, you go off on a tangent, and then, your main point just kind of staggers for a while, where you just like go off into the weird tangent. That's me. But you get it all here, unedited. I don't know if you know about that, but I never, ever edit. Any mistakes I make here, I just keep it in, and I never rehearse any of the songs or stuff that I play here. I'm a believer in keeping things like the behind-the-scenes episodes for me, were always more fun to see like what the people are really like. What's Robert De Niro really like? When he's making that movie. So I like to be behind the scenes all the time. No editing, no slickness. I want you to see it all. Like my kid comes in here and interrupts me, we just leave it on. So that's what I'm about, and I'm about showing you the real deal. And I do have experience with hats. 25 years at the same hat shop, and then about another 9 years at my dad's shop before that, and we sold Stetson Westerns and all kinds of Stetson, and I knew the Stetson representative back then when I was a little kid, I was like 12 and stuff. Ray Curley, he was an amazing guy. I think he's still working for him. I'm not sure if he works for Stetson or other people, but back then, wow, in the 70s, I guess people used to ask him, when do you think he's going to retire? And they still say that now. So, it's the power of hats, baby. Alright, we're going to talk today about the most commonly asked questions. We're going to say, what are the most commonly asked questions that all you guys always ask me? I'm going to try to just go over them and, condense it into one giant, it was a hell of a monologue. It was like, 18 minutes or something? 16 minutes? But, I am what I am. Tangentialism. My favorite 2 chords of the year. I've been playing those 2 chords all year. Most commonly asked question, we're going to say, how do you tighten up a hat, and how do you loosen, how do you stretch in a hat? That's going to be like 2 of the biggest ones. Should I ever treat the leather band, the sweatband? Should I use any kind of leather conditioner? That's another one. Let's go to those 2. I'm going to grab a hat from back here right now. Okay. Alright. The leather inside has some kind of a finish on it. Okay, it's almost painted on some leathers. It's it's made the same way like your shoes are made. You shine them and stuff. Other times there are different types of cheaper leathers, like bonded leather, split grain leather. There are all these different finishes on there. And when you take an oil-based product, anything like pomade or leather conditioner, anything, and you rub it on there with some force, what you're doing is basically breaking down the finish. There's a finish on it, just like this guitar. There's wood, then there's probably paint, or maybe some primer, I don't know, paint, and then there's a plasticky clear coat on top of that. That's a finish. It gives it this shine and stuff, the glossier. It doesn't feel like wood, it feels almost like plastic. That's the finish. It's the same thing as here. But the finish itself is so thin. You go through it with just about 1 scrape of sandpaper, pretty much. It's very, very thin. Not every leather is made the same. Some of them are not even leather. They're just kind of like paper with like a painted on sort of leather coating. Other ones are just sort of like cardboard, and other ones are plastic with a painted. Some things are leather that are just finished with almost a painted on coating. Other ones are made properly. Many of them, they're made just the way they tan and dye and finish regular leather and stuff, like your jacket or your what do you call it, your shoes. But the finish, once it comes off, the finish is what's sealing all that stuff in there, the paint and everything, and the leather itself, whatever's in there, it's kind of like a graininess, it could flake off. You can get the actual paint, the black stuff on your skin, especially when you start sweating, it starts getting, wet. If it starts raining, you could start getting black, like droopy, like paint dripping down your face, all down the whole thing. You don't want to take the finish off the leather. Don't use anything, okay? In my 25 years plus, I've never really seen anybody run into any problems with the sweatbands if they wore the hat. The only time they dry out and get messed up is when you leave the hat in storage and don't wear it. Okay, so what happens is your hat is in your house, you don't wear it 1 year, you don't wear it another year, you don't wear it another year, you're wearing other hats, they just sit in the hat box. What happens, every January and February when it gets cold out, your radiators go on. Radiators are pumping all this dry heat. It dries, the room gets hot every single day for, hours, for I don't know how many hours, 8 hours or something, it's pumping strong hot. And then it gets trapped inside the box, and then even when the heat gets lower at night, it's still in there. So pretty much 24/7, your hat is baking in an oven and drying. It's dehydrating. It's very subtle and it's slow, but the leather itself loses water. It's like keeping it on top of a radiator, but more subtle version. And as the years build up, it might not be like 90 degrees. Maybe it's only 75 or 78 degrees, but the time it builds up, and the leather shrinks a little every year. It shrinks, half a millimeter, and by the time 2, 3, 4 years roll by, it's shrunken where you can feel it. And then if you don't wear the thing for 5 or 10 years, the hat just is like, it's up here and you can't even get the thing on. You're like, well, I don't remember buying it that tight. The first thing I ask people is that, you don't wear this hat, do you? You haven't worn it in how many years? And they look at me and they're like, how do you know? I was like, okay, because every hat that comes in with a dried sweatband is that. We do it. Wear your hat. If you just wore your hat like, I don't know, a couple of times each year, 2, 3 times, 4 times or something, just break it out every once in a while, like every couple of months or something, break it out once a month or something, wear it a little bit, and the hat won't shrink on you. It's the oils from your head just keep, your body actually keeps the leather fine naturally. So the short answer is, don't condition your leather, don't take the risk. If it's not broken, don't fix it. All the problems that people do are these, when people get carried away, I tell them to just spray the underside of the brim, and they spray the whole hat, and then they start brushing, and then they start spraying with water and brushing again and doing all these. When you do things that are kind of like, it's not broken, so don't fix it, problems happen. You want to do as little as possible to your hat. Very little. Best thing to do is to wear it, keep it out of the heat. If you have one room that is not hot, like your basement or something, heat rises, so the lowest part of your house, furthest away from the radiators, keep your hat boxes there. The ones that you don't wear, keep them all down in the basement, and then like the 2 or 3 hats that you do wear, keep them in your closet, because they're not going to shrink if you're wearing them. Most likely, if you're not wearing it for like a year or 2 years, you're not going to want to wear it at all. So just put it in storage in a cool place in the house. Wear the hat. Okay. As far as the other thing, how to tighten up a hat, most of you guys know this. Okay. You can buy a couple of different products. What you do is never buy your hat tight, ever. Okay, people make mistakes, I understand, but once you do it once, don't repeat it. Repeating the same mistake twice is insanity, right? Learn from your mistakes. So, let's say you're a vintage guy, oh God, I'm looking for a hat like Kevin's, I really want one just like Kevin's, or I'm looking for a hat with a calf edge, I've been looking for 3 years. You finally find one, and you're a 7 3/8, dead on, and this one is a 7 1/4. You're like, I haven't seen one of these calf edges in like 2 years, but this one's only $22, and it's a 7 1/4. I'm just gonna get it, and maybe Kevin could stretch it or something. We'll figure it out later. Worst comes to worst, I could always do something. it's so close, you know. Don't do it. That's the you rationalize in your mind. Okay, I know it's wrong for me. I know this is wrong, but maybe this is right. Or maybe that's right. Okay, I came up with enough things that outweigh the bad. I'm gonna buy it. So that's how your mind works. You scheme, on yourself, and you try to convince yourself because you want it. It's self-gratification, and we all want. It's like being a child. You want what you want now. You don't want to wait. You don't want to be patient. Don't buy your hat small. Okay, stretching does not work. I don't recommend it, ever. Stretching will take a lot out of your hats, even if done by the very best, guys like me who know all the tricks and they know how to cover up the stretching. It's not good. It will definitely age your hat. It screws up a whole bunch of things. If you want to stretch your hat, stretch it over your knee. Pull as hard as you can. Not as hard as you can. I'm not that strong, but pull gently. But don't snap it. Pull gently but firmly, increasing pressure. And basically, they're having fun. Okay. You can stretch it over your knee. Okay. That's one way. You stretch it lengthwise. Lengthwise is everything. Just keep stretching. That works. Okay. If your hat's a little tight. Another thing is taking the sweatband out totally. You can just cut it out. That works. That'll get you about a size and a half. It makes your hat very, very loose. So you can do that. And then you could even put one of these temporary sweatbands in there, the stick-ins. It's called Cap Banu, or on jjhatcenter.com we call it a sweatband for $5. They stay in forever if you leave it in. It's very strong adhesive. It's a sticker. It's cotton. Doesn't irritate the skin. And you keep sweat from going through the hat and ruining the hat. So you put that in. You could cut it in half so it's small. If you're not bald. If you're bald, you need protection all the way around, or close to bald, short hair. Taking out the sweatband. Another thing is cutting the reed. Right in the back here, there is a seam right there. The seam, the edge of the seam here, see the shiny part, the part that looks white? There's a tube of leather there. In that tube, there is fishing line. It's a wire made out of nylon. If you snip it right there at the seam, just cut it with a scissor or wire cutters, clip it. The tension's gone. There's a ring of wire, so when you're trying to pull your tight hat down, what's really hurting you, what's giving you that tight tension, is that piece of wire, that nylon fishing line that's a circle. It's like pulling a ring of piano wire down your head that's too tight. That's what's tight. Clip the reed. Just clip it. You don't have to pull the whole reed out, but you can. Pulling the whole reed out will make the hat lose its... See how this hat is like all oval and keeps springing back to oval? That's the reed that does that. It gives it that oval shape. The reed is causing, it's like a flexible wire. Okay? If you pull it totally out, the hat's going to get more floppy, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes not. Most of the time it's not. So what I recommend is leaving the reed in, but just clip it so the tension's gone. Clip it there. Then you start to stretch. Okay? Then you pull it over your knee, pull it this way, the hat will get bigger. Don't use a hat jack. Don't do all that stuff. I don't believe in it. I don't think you should stretch your hat that way. You screw your hats up. Buy your hats big. Just buy them big enough, okay? If you're in doubt, go to the bigger size and just pad it down. I don't even have a single hat that doesn't have some padding in there. This one has it. They all do. Every single one of my hats have some padding in there. Okay? The idea is I don't buy them small. I buy them big, and I hone it down to perfect size. That's how we fine tune. Also, when the time comes that you get a sweat through the hat, that pad keeps you from getting sweat stains ever. 99% of the hats out there die because either you're grabbing it here and there's a hole in the front, or because of sweat stains here on the brim and the crown. Sweat stains cannot be cleaned, but they can be avoided through prevention. Prevention is a pad like this. It's $5. It's called Sweatband on JJ Hat Center. I'm going to be coming out with my own version soon. I'm working on it, developing it. So you could give that $5 to me soon. Coming out with a new pad kind of thing. I'm developing it. So yeah, you'll have your Kevin from JJ Hat Center products coming out soon. That's going to be cool. The idea is when the sweat comes, it hits this little sweatband. They make them in regular or terry cloth, which is way, way thick. You don't want the terry cloth. And when it hits the cotton pad, it doesn't hit the hat. It's a barrier. The only thing is that it's good to have a leather sweatband that you can wipe down and keep sanitary and dry. So I don't put these pads in until I need it. When I see the first sign of some sweat coming through, I tighten it up with that pad, okay? Generally, first I'll tighten up under the leather, which will just tighten the hat, but it doesn't give me the sweat protection in front, and it allows the leather to go flush against my head, so I could dry the leather with a hanky or something, bandana. Here's the deal, when you have a sweatband, we call these things sweat wicks at the hat shop. When you have a sweat wick in your hat, it stays wet. So you sit down at a restaurant, you're cooling off, the air conditioner's on, you're feeling comfortable, and when you're ready, you leave the restaurant, you put your hat back on. This thing is still wet and it's cold from the AC, and you put it on. It's very unsanitary, which you don't want. It's just uncomfortable, it's itchy, it irritates you, it's not clean. So you want leather against your skin most of the time. So basically you take a hanky, you wipe the leather down, and you're good. Can you close the door, please? And then you'll be fine. Sorry. And so sweat pads are great, but I don't like to put them in until the end of the hat when I start to see the first sign of sweat coming through. Usually it starts either here, you start to see discoloration, or one of the stitches. You'll see a circle, dark circle, and it's right where the cotton stitches. You know how your hat has on the band, it has like a stitch that keeps the band on? Well, those stitches are made out of cotton. The cotton is more absorbent than the band, the ribbon itself. So when you start sweating, it follows the stitch from inside the hat through the cotton stitch and then goes out. And then you start getting a little puddle of sweat right around the stitch. It's pretty cool. It's science. The band itself is not as absorbent as the little cotton stitches, So when you start to see a little sweat coming through in any area, then you know it's time to put your band in, okay? Alrighty. The son just left me a note, and they're fooling around and tickling each other and stuff. Alright, we covered a couple of the big ones. Don't put any gunk conditioners on the leather. Just wear it and keep it away from heat, okay? Tightening up a hat and stretching a hat and stuff is like this. I showed you how to tighten it, okay? 2 different ways, with sweat prevention and without. Under the leather or on top of the leather in front. Stretching a hat, I showed you, you can pull it, you can clip the reed, you can take the reed out, you can pull it this way. It works. You just got to keep doing it. You pull it over your knee, you pull it this way. You don't do it once. You do it like 5 times a day, every day. And then after you wind up doing that 50 times, do it 50 times in a row. 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it consider it your exercise. Consider it your quarantine cardio. You're pulling it. Now, if you're a massive, strong dude, don't pull the hat apart, okay? Just ease the pressure up a little bit more. Be careful. Don't destroy the thing, but give it a nice stretch. And do it 50 times. Do it 100 times if you want to. After that, put it down and then do it again. And do this every single day. The hat will stretch. Yeah. Look busy. Can we do action? Now, let's get back to the most asked questions and stuff. Most commonly asked questions, let me think about some of them. Okay, a lot of people ask me about this hat a lot. These are discontinued. This is a brand that used to be fantastic, but they kind of douched out around 2016. They stopped shipping. They ran out of stuff. And the United States division that were importing from Italy went under. And then the European main division went under. They went bankrupt. It's a company called Borsellino. I don't know who used to wear these, celebrities and gangsters, in the 40s. It's an old Italian brand, always been known for being very soft, crushable and stuff, They were always the best of the best, but they had some guy running the show. The guy who was their CEO wound up embezzling, getting jailed. You could look it up. It happened in 2017. Borsellino bankrupt. And basically, a company that was the best since 1857 pretty much owed, I thought $25 million by 2017. They tried selling, they sold to this, that, nothing worked. They pretty much died. And then they came back, and they owe so much money that they're cutting tons of corners. The hats that sold for $550 now sell for $1,000. The hats that sold for $375 are now $450 and $500, and the quality is not nearly the same. So we're right now not ordering them. They're not the same hats, and I don't suggest them. Not at the moment. I think that every company has their ups and their downs. There was a time where I didn't suggest Stetsons. Sometime in the 90s, I'm sure that everybody knows about them. People who work there knew there were problems. That was around the time there were sweatbands, like in the Saxons, that were made out of like paper, with the paint coating and stuff. You could just rip the paper sweatband. They were doing stuff like that, and then everybody just left. They got a whole new crew of people in. Everything changed, and now they're running the show like a champ. They have really good innovative designers, the quality, the bang for the buck. They're doing really good thick beaver hats now at like $375 and $350, which is great. And they're a plus company now. There was a time where they were a company. That's what I'm saying about these guys. They're in a transitional phase now, and they probably need a few years to get back on their feet. And for JJ Hat Center, when we order hats that are like, $350, $500, $550, $600 hats, they're pretty much like the best of the best. That's like the, state-of-the-art quality, and we expect perfection. Otherwise, we start getting returns and refunds, and that costs a lot of money, and we start losing money. So you got to think of it like this: a little stack. Let's say you have 3 stacks of this green hat. Okay, and we're selling this green hat again. Each one is $500. There's 4 in this stack, 4 in that stack. So there's $2,000, $6,000, right? $8,000 for just this one style. Then we have this. In the back room, we have another, few dozen. So there's, probably 80,000 back there. And then we have 2 more colors. So, you know what I'm saying? It adds up. And then we have, how many more styles? 10 more styles or 5 more styles. We're talking a good chunk of, like 6 figures that we have to invest in an expensive hat to make money for an entire year. If those hats wind up to be duds, we don't make any money. And JJ Hat Center can just tank. So we have to make sure we sell a hat that's top of the line, that our company is going to receive hats that we're happy with. We have to, hold it in our hand, see the quality, and say, this is what we're getting, exactly this, and be happy with it. Otherwise, it's just not going to work for us. You get so many returns that the business can actually be endangered. So we go the custom route, but right now we're working with Spain, and the Rocher hats are exquisite. They're known for their felt maker. They have like a state-of-the-art felt maker, and that stuff, it's soft, it's gorgeous, and that's what we're doing right now because they're up here, they're on the top of the, riding the wave, Hopefully this brand will come back again one day, but not now. I don't really like talking about them that much either, because I don't like promoting hats that I don't believe in. And yes, the old ones were really good, but they're gone. Nobody's getting rid of them. Everybody who has them are keeping them, or they're selling them at these horrible prices. Oh yeah, it used to sell for $350. I'm going to sell it for $550, even though it's really used. Things like that. And everybody's holding. I'm holding on to mine. I've got one, from almost every year I work there, and I'm not getting rid of them. So I don't think other people are too. So I don't really like to promote stuff that people can't get to. So they say, wow, that's really cool. He's been talking about that hat all day, That sounds good. I think Kevin believes in that. I'm going to believe in it too. Then they go and they can't find it anywhere. So, those who ask me about the hat, there you go. There's the answer. But, yeah, right now nobody's doing this color. We don't know anybody doing this color. So when we find a company who has a color like this, we will make the hat custom and we'll make it available. I'm sure they will. And I'm going to say the closest thing now is the McGill, the Ontario model. Ontario is something we ordered in the same specs as this. We ordered it without a bound edge. We got a raw edge because it looked cleaner. We saw the original version. There was no reason to change it. It looked just so clean. They snap like a champ. The quality of the felt is just gorgeous. Their blocks and their shapes are incredible, and their prices are really good. So McGill hats, Ontario, the felt, all the felt stuff comes. Okay, here's another big question. How come you're out of all these Stetson models right now? Okay, felt hats are very seasonal. That's the way the business works. It's a seasonal thing. We get straw hats during, straw season, felt during felt, and we can't really order stuff off season. So all the hats start to get released. Generally mid-October is when they're supposed to come in, but they never really get there on the date. If they say October 15th, we'll get like one order of one model on the 17th, and then on the 22nd we'll get one other model will come in, and then 2 weeks later we'll get a few cases, and then a week later we'll get another case. So that's how it works. They just start releasing them and they trickle in, and then we get 100 pallets this high one day, and the entire shop is filled to the ceiling with boxes. And then the next day another order comes in, 117 pallets of Stetson. Day after that we'll get nothing. So you don't know when they're going to come. They come when they're ready, and all we can do is wait for them. I can tell you this, that they're starting to trickle in now. Generally, from my last quarter century working at a hat shop in New York, most of the hats start coming, domestic stuff. Generally October 15th is when it starts. That's when you'll see like the first shipments, but it's not like they pour in then. That's when you see the first of the first. So I'm going to say more towards the end of October you'll get some shipments. Then through the whole month of November, even early December is when the bulk of our whole stock comes in. But the imported stuff, the stuff that we order custom, comes in last. That comes in even later. So you'll see those, late November, even through December, all the way through December. The really exotic stuff will come in, and Stetsons too. They start releasing things that were not coming out sooner. So November and December you're going to see like just tons of stuff. October a little. I'm going to say they're about 2 weeks behind schedule now. Who knows if they're going to be more? It's possible. This COVID thing has knocked them a little behind schedule, but they'll all be here. Just go to jjhatcenter.com and go to new arrivals, and everything that comes in is in order. The top of new arrival would be the last thing that came in. Sometimes if a hat comes in today, they'll take pictures of it today or tomorrow. Then they'll edit it, they'll start entering all the sizes into the computer, and it'll take a day or two for it to actually reach the website. So hang in there. Everything's coming. Premier Stratoliners, regular Stratoliners, Temples, Whippets. We got an order of some Morgans, which was like, wow, we haven't seen the Morgan in like 2 years. That's the shortest brim they make, 1 3/8 inch brim with a low pork pie crown and a diamond. Those are nice little Stetsons, and everything is 20% now. I think the code word is 20. You write out the word TWENTY, 20. And you get 20% off every single thing on jjhatcenter.com. If you were thinking about something, now's the time to get it. As the hats start pouring in, less of the sales will happen. The idea now is we're trying to get rid of all the stuff that's in stock and, get the shelves bare, get some cash in, pay some bills too, and make room for new stuff. When all this new stuff pours in, the sales will slow down. There won't be so many 20-25% off days, and we'll get more things in. Christmas rush comes. After Christmas, there might be more sales and stuff. So I would say now is a great time to order with 20% off. And there's even a lot of 50% off. Tons. You go to the back room. If you find something in your size in the back room, it's 50% off. That's stuff that's from last year, the year before, that we're trying to clear out of the stock room. So you can get half price wholesale stuff all the time at JJ's. It's just limited, What's another commonly asked question? I don't know. I can't think. How about custom hats? Yes, we do make custom hats. They'll make anything you want as long as it's a felt or a straw hat. We've made hats for a lot of big basketball and football players, celebrities. They're in there all the time. Sometimes they order wild things like glow in the dark paint, or you can get furry pimp finishes like long hair beavers. You could have Kevin's hat made if you want. He'll make you my hat, but going custom is expensive. It's about $750 and up. And but the guy is great. He does it so much more handmade than everybody else. He starts with these thick bodies and he hand sands them. They get so velvety soft that they feel like beaver. You could tell him, I want a paper rabbit, but I want it to feel like beaver. And he does this thing where he just buffs it for like an entire day using all these different grit sandpapers, all by hand. And the thing feels, he's like, feel this, Kev. I was like, whoa, what felt is that? He's like, it's just regular rabbit. He makes it feel like beaver. And he does things, he tie-dyes bands. He has these tie-dye bands called Van bands, and they look like these splatters and these galaxies and stars and fire and clouds. You could get one with blue with white clouds on it and put that on a sky blue hat, and have also the binding could be the same clouds. You could have the binding be super thick, like that thick or something. You could have half and half binding, have clouds on this side, fire on that side, and then same thing here. You could have 4 different bindings. Let's say you want it in quarters. You could have Van bands, all 4 different splashy bands. You could even take one of your old hats and turn it into a customized job and make that look like a custom. So instead of spending $750, you just have them make a wild bound edge for you on your old hat, or on a hat that you buy at JJ's. Buy something half price and have them customize it. It's like the cheapest way to get a custom. Some people will make the crown open, flatten the brim, put on some wild like cloud binding or something, take off the band and put on a horsehair band and a big turkey feather, and the thing is like the most incredible custom hat. But they didn't make it, by hand. They just turned the regular hat into it, which is way cheaper. You pay this for the binding, you pay this for flattening it, this for the band, and it's way less than $750. I don't know what it would cost. Like in the 100 range or something. I'm not really sure, but it's a good way to go custom. So we do all that custom stuff. You call the hat shop, 800-622-1911, or if you're not in the continental U.S. or whatever, it's 212-239-4368, or info@jjhatcenter.com. That's info@jjhatcenter.com. and you just write attention van. The hat maker is Van, V-A-N, and Van will discuss a custom job. Just say, Van, what would it be like if I wanted to get, now here's the deal, if you want a flat brim, go with something Western or stiff felt. On a Kubra, a Bushman, a Style Master, something that's got some thickness, a Western hat, get a Rancher, flatten it out, put a Van band on it, open the crown. If you're going to do it with a super soft hat, you can't really get a good flat brim out of something soft. It's got to be a little stiff. So you can talk to him, just ask for Van, talk about custom jobs, you discuss it, you pay for it, he does your hat and you send it right off. Now if you buy a hat from us, you're right at the top of the waiting list. He does the work today, like immediately this morning, you know. But if it's your hat, it's a used hat that you didn't buy from us, then you go to the back of the line. Basically, the people who just bought something, they get the custom work done first, the repairs. It's just how it works. But you can get a half-price hat and have it customized. It's a beautiful idea, especially for Christmas. You want to give somebody a cool Gary Clark Jr. hat. Like, you know, this hat that I wear with the flat brim. You know, something like this, flat brim, open crown, whatever. You know, you just buy something half price, you know what I'm saying? Half Van, flatten the brim, open the crown or something, or maybe not open the crown, put a Van band on it, like something real swirly. Here, let me show you a Van band. Here's one. This one was kind of fiery looking, but yeah, imagine that. You just take a hat, flatten it, put a Van band on it. That's it. You know how cool it would look? Maybe a Van band and a horsehair band over that. You know, you just put the horsehair with the tassels, bam. Or a Van band or a big feather. Just pay for that. Brim flattening and stiffening. A Van band, maybe Van binding. The Van band binding. It's crazy, right? I'm telling you. Way cheaper than going fully custom. We're not talking like 700. It's just like, you know, 100 or something like that. You know, each job, like the flattening or opening crown, each one of those things is like $40 or, you know, something like that. Binding. So, you know, they add up. It could be 100, 150, 200, but, you know, getting lots of stuff done. But it's a custom hat, you know. I think it's a great idea. So, most commonly asked questions, huh? I don't know if I want to do them all in one shot here. On a dark desert highway, you in my hair. Now the smell of eucalyptus. Rising up through the air, up ahead in the distance, saw a shimmering light. Heavy on the side, the pretend how to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway. I heard the mission bell. I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven. This could be hell. Then she stood in the doorway. voices down the corridor, what I heard them say. Such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Any of the room at the Hotel California, any time of year you could find here. That's another album.